Hi everyone, welcome back to the Football Tribe UG channel. Robert Kesakos is my name. Welcome back from that Super Sunday Premier League action that saw Arsenal and Chelsea share the spoils while Newcastle beat up against Nottingham Forest by 3-1. Manchester United swept away Leicester City with a 3-0 beating there, while in the other game of the day, Tottenham were stunned by newcomers Ipswich Town when they beat them by 2-1. Anyway, where do we get things started off? We'll start off with Manchester United. Well, Ruud Van Nistelrooy bows out of Manchester United as interim manager on a high note, beating Leicester City by 3-0 there in that particular fixture. That completed his 4 fixtures that he has managed Manchester United in his interim capacity, as Ruben Amorim does take over things tomorrow officially when we enter into the November international break. During that spell, he's managed a 1-1 draw with Chelsea. He's beaten up against Leicester on 2 occasions, first in the Carabao Cup, beating them 5-2 there in that fixture, then managed to beat up against PAOK Salonika in the Europa League, and he has beaten Leicester City by 3-0 to complete that spell. Now, I'm sure many Manchester United fans out there may have this kind of school of thought that maybe their bosses were quite in rush to make that decision to appoint Ruben Amorim, yet Ruud Van Nistelrooy could have been given the chance. While there is also another school of thought that didn't want to do anything to do with an interim manager, just like we saw Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. He came in as an interim manager back in December 2018, and then he sort of steered the team through and eventually got that job. And although in the long run it didn't really work out, I did think he did do a fairly good job. So some United fans didn't want that to repeat itself, so they didn't want anything to do with an interim manager. So Ineos were quick to make that decision and appoint Ruben Amorim, and we'll wait to see how he does fare when he takes over the reins at Manchester United, and officially he reports tomorrow on duty. Anyways, it was Captain Bruno Fernandes that inspired his side when he scored the first goal, while Christiansen scored an own goal, still taking that ball that took a touch off Bruno Fernandes' thigh, that before Christiansen deflects it in the back of his own net to make it 2-0. And then Alejandro Garnacho, after having missed a couple of opportunities, managed to score a stunner to make it 3-0. He didn't celebrate that goal, and the impression is that some Manchester United fans had grown out of patience with his lack of form in recent times, even when I still think he's still a darling player in that Manchester United squad. That is in conjunction with Amadou Diallo, who, by the way, Ruud Van Nistelrooy has tried to give as many opportunities as chance presented itself during that short spell that he's handled the team. It's going to be a clean slate for the new manager in Ruben Amorim, but I do think he has so many positives to pick up from, especially after those results by Ruud Van Nistelrooy. Manuel Agate, I thought, was quite impressive in that particular game. So there's so many, if he was out there watching, must have been proud of his boy that he did coach at Sporting Lisbon before he made the switch, I think in 2022, to join PSG, where he has since left to join Manchester United last summer. So that was quite impressive. Anyways, away from the Manchester United jubilations and tribulations, Tottenham were disappointing yet again as they lost by 2-1 to Ipswich Town to hand them their first Premier League win in 22 years. Now, this is a Tottenham side that came into this fixture on the back of a 3-2 loss to Galatasaray in the Europa League. Finished that game with a man less. You could hardly blame them, even though they tried to go for it. But my expectation was that they would beat up against Ipswich Town, but that has not happened. And disappointingly, they have lost that particular fixture. I'm sure a bit of pressure will start to mount for Ange Postecoglou and his dressing room, because you will feel that there is a lot that needs to be fixed. Otherwise, recent results have not really gone their way, because it is not too far back that they conceded a 2-0 lead and eventually lost to Brighton by 3-2 in that poor second half performance that we did witness. So again, questions will be asked of Ange Postecoglou and his players. In the other result of the day, Newcastle stand Nottingham Forest. Why do I say stand? Because my prediction had been that Nottingham Forest would win this fixture by a goal to nil, and Murillo had done that to give Nottingham Forest the lead. However, Newcastle did bounce back to win it 3-1. Given the recent form that Nottingham Forest had been on, and given that it was a home game for them, I had given them a chance. But Alexander Isak, Joelinton, and Harvey Barnes had other ideas as the squad to complete that 3-1 victory for the Magpies. Two impressive results, beating up against Nottingham Forest and beating up against Arsenal just the other week, puts them in quite very good position and very good shape ahead of the international break. And like I said, the other key big game of the Super Sunday, like we had predicted on this very channel, that it would end in a draw. Yes, it did end in a draw as Arsenal shared the spoils with Chelsea in a 1-1 draw. To be honest, I do not think that there was any team out there on the turf that did deserve to win it. I didn't think either side gave it their whole to try and win it, so eventually it ended in a 1-1 draw. However, Arsenal fans will feel a little hard done by, given the scenes that we did witness in the dying minutes of the game. Mikel Arteta falling to his floor when his two players in Leandro Trossard and subsequently Kai Havertz missed that golden opportunity that could have won them the game with the last kick of the game. So that didn't happen, but they will take the point and go into the international break with their heads buried in the sand, given the last recent spell of results that have been quite poor, losing to Newcastle, losing to Bournemouth, losing to Inter Milan, sharing the spoils with Chelsea, with Liverpool, and that kind of thing. So really, it hasn't been impressive. Martin Odegaard, you felt that he did struggle a bit in this particular game, especially in the second half, but that is expected given that he was starting his first 90 minutes in nearly 3 months. Then I thought Gabriel Martinelli, although he did score to give Arsenal the lead, he was quite indecisive or slow in certain moments of the game, so that didn't give Arsenal quite a bit of chance. Bukayo Saka was largely silent and he did go off injured, so that is another concern for Arsenal fans out there. Declan Rice, again, still wasn't on form. You felt that bit. And then again, for Arsenal to concede the equalizer against Pedro Neto, you felt a lapse in defense. My question was, where's Thomas Partey? Where was the midfield in that moment to try and fend off Pedro Neto? Because they did give him a lot of space for him to go for that shot in the bottom corner. The defenders didn't react quick enough and all that kind of thing. I remember watching the game and I did mention to my neighbor as soon as Arsenal scored that Arsenal have scored a little too early in this game. They are going to concede. And my reason for that was that in recent times, from my observation, is that whenever Arsenal have scored, their pace with the game has kind of slowed down and they've sort of become a little defensive or even very conservative once they score, in the hope that they can defend off games and see them out with that one goal, with those two goals. We saw that transpire in their 4-2 victory against Leicester City. It did happen against Liverpool when they were leading, but they were a bit conservative in the way they played in that second half. Eventually they conceded, so it ended 2-2. So even today, in that moment, in the aftermath of Arsenal scoring, you did feel that they sort of retreated a bit back. Mikel Merino, I thought he had a good cameo, so it was quite good in that particular game. Moises Caicedo in that midfield, I thought was impressive for the Chelsea side, and Nicholas Jackson had his moments, although I thought he fell down a little too easily. Both sides had goals cancelled out for offsides. That's for Nicholas Jackson on the side of Chelsea and Kai Havertz on the side of Arsenal, in what would have been the early goal of the game for Kai Havertz. So that's the kind of picture that we did witness on Super Sunday from Stamford Bridge and from elsewhere. But like we did highlight in our earlier episode on Sunday, Liverpool still lead the pack with 8 points. Manchester City are second with 23 points. Chelsea, Arsenal fall there in third and fourth place respectively, all with 19 points, just as many as Nottingham Forest, who are fifth on the Premier League table. Brighton, Aston Villa, Newcastle, all fall there with 18 points apiece, while Tottenham linger in 10th position with 16 points. After that victory for Manchester United against Leicester City, they are still 13th with 15 points. So I do feel that being just 4 points away from the top 4 is not a bad place for Manchester United to be. I do not think things are as ugly as they appear, especially after recent results. 4 points in those 2 Premier League games was quite decent. I mean, win 2 games and tomorrow we could be having an entirely very different discussion as regards to where Manchester United are seated in relation to being close to the top 4 or in the top 4. So it's that close. Do let me know what your thoughts are, and I'll see you next time. Stay blessed. If you're new, do not forget to comment, like, and share, and I'll see you next time. Have a blessed week.